Every morning, I wake up to the smell of stale soda and Xavier's cologne. It's our messy shared room. Xavier's bed is already made, he's always gone before I even open my eyes properly. And there's always that half-empty soda can, our little unspoken routine. I reach for my phone to text him, then I remember he took my favorite hoodie. I spot it hanging on the door handle, my frayed hoodie, the one I've had since 8th grade. There's a crumpled sticky note on it. I just crumple it more and shoves it in my pocket. I grab my backpack, in such a hurry that I trip over his stupid skateboard. My hands curl tight around the straps. I'm so angry I could scream. I storm toward the front door, ready to yell at the first person I see. I yank the front door open, only to freeze completely. Standing on the porch, holding a single dandelion, is Devin, the boy Xavier warned me about. The dandelion's petals are already wilting. He looks just as nervous as I feel. I notice the broken heart tattoo on his knuckles. Xavier's warning rings in my head. He holds out the dandelion toward me. I hesitate, then take it. A car honks loudly from down the street. Devin glances at it, then back at me. He turns to leave, but pauses at the sidewalk. He says something, but I can't hear the words. Then I hear screeching tires. Xavier's truck skids to a stop in front of the house. His jaw is clenched so tight I can see the muscle twitch. His eyes lock onto us, full of anger. The air feels thick with tension. I can't move, can't look away from his glare. A petal falls from the dandelion. I have a terrible feeling about what's coming next. I stand frozen on the porch, my knuckles white from gripping the doorframe. Devin's scuffed boots scrape the wood, a wilting dandelion in his calloused hand. I notice the broken heart tattoo on his knuckles, Xavier's warning ringing in my head. He holds out the dandelion and I hesitate, my hand hovering midair. I finally take it, my fingers brushing his as the dandelion changes hands. A car horn blares loudly from the curb, making me jump slightly. Devin glances at the car, then back at me, his eyes unreadable. He turns to leave, pausing at the sidewalk to call over his shoulder. I can't make out the words. Before I can respond, Xavier's old truck skids to a stop right in front of the house. Xavier leans out the window, his jaw so tight I can see the muscle twitch. His angry eyes lock onto me and Devin, burning with fury. Devin keeps walking, his hands stuffed in his pockets like he doesn't care. I clutch the dandelion to my chest, its petals starting to fall as I step toward the truck. A neighbor's cat darts across the street, as if trying to escape the tension. Xavier slams his hand on the steering wheel, making me flinch. The truck radio blares to life suddenly, filling the silence with loud music. I walk toward the truck, the dandelion's petals falling to the ground at my feet. "You shouldn't talk to him," he says, but I only see the anger in his eyes, not hear his voice. I climb into the passenger seat, avoiding his gaze, my cheeks burning with guilt. Xavier accelerates down the street, the tires screeching loudly behind us. I look out the window, watching Devin's figure disappear around the corner. Xavier tosses a crumpled paper bag into my lap without a word. I open the bag to find my favorite breakfast chocolate chip pancakes on top of something else. Beneath the pancakes is a photo me and Devin, talking on the porch. Xavier must have taken it from the window. My stomach drops to my feet as I realize Xavier knows he saw everything. Xavier's anger was palpable, his jaw so tight I could see the muscle twitch. He slammed his hand on the steering wheel and the truck's radio blared to life. I flinched as his hand struck the wheel, the sound echoing in the tense silence. He tossed a crumpled paper bag into my lap, his eyes still fixed on the road. I stared at the bag, my stomach twisting with dread as I slowly opened it. Inside was my favorite breakfast chocolate chip pancakes, but on top lay a photo of me and Devin. My breath caught in my throat as I recognized the shot. Xavier must have taken it from the window. My fingers tightened around the photo, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. The rain poured harder outside, blurring the streetlights as Xavier drove in tense silence. Xavier's expression never softened, his eyes fixed on the road with a cold, furious intensity. Tears pricked at my eyes, a mix of guilt and fear swirling in my chest. He slammed his hand on the wheel again, a sound that made me jump in my seat. The photo stared back at me, capturing the moment Devin had handed me the dandelion on the porch. I wanted to explain, to say it was nothing, but the words died in my throat. Xavier pressed harder on the gas, the truck speeding down the wet street as the rain poured. I stuffed the photo into my pocket, my skin crawling as I avoided Xavier's gaze. His breathing was heavy, ragged, like he was struggling to control his rage. The only light came from the dashboard, casting eerie shadows on both our faces. I opened my mouth to speak, but no words came out. What could I even say? The truck continued down the street, carrying us through the rain and the tense silence that felt endless. I could feel his glare burning into me, even without looking at him. I stared out the window at the blurry rain, feeling completely trapped and helpless. The photo in my pocket felt like a weight, a constant reminder of Xavier's rage. We drove on in silence, the rain the only sound breaking the heavy tension between us. Lunch alone again, just me, my pancakes, and this weird tension in the air. The cafeteria's buzzing, but I might as well be invisible, until he walked over. Devin, the quiet guy with the broken heart tattoo. I never thought he'd notice me. He pulled out a chair like we were old friends, like I wasn't just the girl he sat behind in math. Then he slid this candy bar across the table, my favorite. How did he know? My hands shook. This wasn't just a candy bar, this was something real. But across the room, Xavier saw, and he wasn't happy. He slammed his hands on the table so hard, the cafeteria went dead silent. My pancake slid off the tray, hitting the floor with a sickening squelch. Devin stood up too, fists clenched like he was ready to fight. I'd never seen him this angry. Every single pair of eyes in the room locked on us. I wanted to disappear into the floor. I could feel every stare, every whisper. This was the last thing I needed. Xavier marched over, his jaw so tight I thought it might break. He was never going to let this go. I jumped up, putting myself between them. I couldn't let them fight. Not here. Xavier's eyes burned into me. It wasn't just anger, this was something darker, possessive. Devin's hand landed on my shoulder, warm and steady. For the first time, I didn't feel alone. Then the teacher showed up, yelling for us to break it up. Saved by the bell, sort of. Xavier stormed out without a word, but I could feel his glare burning into my back. Devin handed me a napkin, his voice soft. "You okay?" No one had asked me that in a while. We sat back down, the cafeteria buzzing around us, but nothing would ever be the same again. I froze as Xavier and Devin stood inches apart, fists clenched like they were ready to tear each other apart. I jumped between them, heart racing, knowing one wrong move would start a full-on brawl. A teacher's shout cut through the noise, making everyone freeze for a split second. Xavier shot Devin a deadly glare, then stormed off, knocking over a chair on his way out. Devin sighed and sat back down, but I couldn't focus, my pocket was buzzing like crazy. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone, an unknown number was texting me. The message made my blood run cold. "I need to talk to you. James, who even was that?" Devin slid a candy bar toward me, but I couldn't even look at him. My mind was spinning. I could feel everyone staring, whispering about what just happened. I wanted to disappear. Who was James? Why did he want to talk to me? So many questions flooded my mind at once. I grabbed my tray and stood up, desperate to get out of that suffocating cafeteria. I paused at the door, glancing back at Devin. He looked like he wanted to say something, but I couldn't wait. My phone buzzed again. This time, the message made my knees weak. "I'm your birth dad." I stumbled back, my vision blurring. Birth dad? I thought my real parents were gone forever. Devin ran over and caught me before I fell. His voice was soft, full of worry. Tears burned my eyes. Everything I thought I knew about my family felt like a lie. I pulled away from him, my voice breaking. "I need to go home. Alone." I walked toward the parking lot alone, my feet feeling like they were made of lead. I noticed Xavier's truck in the corner. He was watching me through the window, his jaw tight. I hovered over Mom's contact, but I couldn't hit call. What would I even say? Then I saw it, a black luxury car pulling into the lot. My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it. I walked faster, my eyes locked on the car. Who was in there? Was it James? My hands shook so bad I almost dropped my keys. I needed to get out of there, now. I peeled out of the lot, but I could see the black car following me in my rearview mirror. Tears streamed down my face as I drove. Whatever was happening, I knew my life would never be the same. After school, I waited in the empty parking lot, my heart pounding like a drum. Xavier's truck was gone, he'd left without me, leaving me alone with my thoughts. His text burned on my screen, "Meet me at the diner." I couldn't ignore it. Then it appeared, that black luxury car, gliding toward me like a silent predator. My throat went dry as it pulled up beside me, engine purring softly. I hesitated for a second, then pressed call, my hand shaking slightly. The window rolled down, and there he was, James, my birth dad, with that fake smile. Time stopped. I froze, phone still pressed to my ear, unable to speak a word. "Get in," he mouthed, but I could barely hear him over the rush in my ears. My hand moved on its own, closing around the cold metal door handle. I bent down, the world spinning around me, unsure what I was getting into. Inside, the car smelled like expensive cologne, and something sharp, something dangerous. He watched me through the rearview mirror, that smile never reaching his cold eyes. The car pulled out of the lot, city streets blurring by as my anxiety grew. I clenched my fist until my knuckles turned white, trying to stay calm, trying to breathe. He passed a gift bag back to me, his hand cold and quick, like he was doing a deal. I stared at the fancy bow, my stomach twisting with dread. What was in there? When I opened it, a diamond necklace glinted inside, cold and shiny like his eyes. I felt sick. This wasn't a gift, it was a chain, a way to trap me. The car stopped in front of a diner, and I knew this was only the beginning. The world stretched out before me, every path leading to a choice I feared. I sat across from James in the quiet diner, my throat tight with unspoken fear. The air felt thick with tension, and then the crash shattered everything. Then Xavier burst in, his jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscle twitch. He stormed toward us, his eyes burning with unspoken rage at James. The whole room went quiet as we formed a tense triangle of anger and confusion. His eyes told me he was furious, but also scared for me. His gaze fixed on the diamond necklace James had given me like it burned him. He slammed his hands on the table, making our drinks rattle. I stared at him, my heart torn between anger and confusion. He grabbed my arm, his grip firm as he pulled me toward the door. I glanced back at James, who was still smirking like he'd won something. Then I felt the photo of Devin in my pocket, and my stomach dropped. I had both the necklace and the photo, two pieces pulling me apart. Xavier didn't slow down, pulling me toward the door with urgent steps. Every eye in the diner followed us as we made our way out. My feet moved slowly, like each step weighed 100 pounds. The outdoor sunlight blinded me, mirroring the chaos in my head. His beat-up truck was idling at the curb, waiting for us. He opened the passenger door, his face softening just a little when he looked at me. My hand tightened and relaxed, torn between the two worlds I was living in. I walked toward the truck, knowing my life was about to change forever. I slid into the passenger seat, wondering if I'd ever escape this mess. The rain poured as Xavier drove, his knuckles white with barely contained rage. I sat frozen in the passenger seat, too scared to break the thick, tense silence. Finally, he snapped, demanding answers about why I'd met James. Why were you with him? His voice shook with hurt and unbridled anger. I didn't know how to explain, so I pulled out the hidden photo. It was the photo of me and Devin, taken from the window that morning. Xavier's face drained of color as he stared at the proof of my betrayal. "You're choosing him over me?" His voice broke, raw with crippling hurt. Before I could respond, he slammed on the brakes, skidding to a jarring stop. I jolted forward, my hand flying to the door handle in pure shock. His eyes were red as he turned to me, and I knew what he was going to do. Without a word, he spun the truck around, heading back toward the diner. The wipers sliced through the rain, but I could barely see where we were going. Panic clawed at my chest. I had no idea what he planned next. Xavier accelerated, his grip on the wheel so tight I thought it might break. I held the photo tighter, guilt twisting my stomach into knots. The city streets blurred past as we raced back to where it all started. Xavier's jaw was set, his expression unreadable but full of fierce resolve. In the distance, I saw the diner's lights glowing through the pouring rain. We sped toward it, and I realized this messy, broken situation was far from over. The rain soaked my hair, and I ran toward James, anything to get away from Xavier. Xavier yelled my name, his voice cracking as he chased me through the puddles. James hung up his phone, smiling like he'd been waiting for this moment all along. My boots splashed through puddles, my heart pounding so hard I thought it would burst. The sirens got louder, red and blue lights cutting through the rain like knives. I didn't see Devin standing at the edge of the lot, his eyes filled with worry. Xavier lunged for me, his hand brushing my arm, but I twisted away. A sharp pain shot through my chest, my breath catching in my throat. The police lights got brighter, sirens blaring so loud my ears rang. My legs felt like jelly, and the world started to spin around me. Xavier's face changed from anger to panic as he realized what was happening. Devin ran toward me, his boots slamming against the wet pavement. Xavier's voice sounded far away, like he was speaking through water. My arms went limp, and I couldn't hold myself up anymore. I fell backward, and for a second, I thought both of them would catch me. Devin's hand brushed my shoulder, but he couldn't reach me in time. Xavier dove forward, his body hitting the wet asphalt as he tried to break my fall. The last thing I saw was Devin's worried face before everything went black. The police officers ran toward us, their radios crackling with orders. The rain kept pouring, and I lay there, unable to move or speak, wondering if I'd ever wake up. I woke up with a splitting headache, bandage wrapped tight around my head. Mom was right there, her hand wrapped around mine, eyes red from crying. Dad was on the phone by the window, his voice low and urgent. Xavier sat in the corner, his head in his hands, shoulders shaking quietly. The room felt so quiet, like we were all holding our breath. I wiggled my fingers, and Mom's head snapped up instantly. Her hand tightened around mine, like she was scared I'd disappear again. Dad hung up the phone and turned to us, his face looking heavier than before. Xavier looked up, his eyes red and puffy, guilt written all over his face. Then the door creaked open just a little, and a sliver of light slipped in. Devin stood in the doorway, holding a bouquet of daisies, his hair still damp. The daisies looked a little wilted, like he'd been holding them for hours. His eyes were full of worry, like he'd been afraid to come in. I stared at him, surprised then confused. What was he doing here? Xavier stood up suddenly, his fists clenched, eyes blazing at Devin. His knuckles were white, like he was ready to fight again. Dad stepped in front of my bed, his eyes locked on Devin, ready to protect us. Mom frowned, confused, glancing between Devin and me like she didn't understand either. Devin stepped inside quietly, holding the daisies out a little further. I noticed the broken heart tattoo on his knuckles, with a faint blood stain. My stomach dropped. What had he been doing before coming here? Xavier took a step forward, but Dad held out a hand to stop him. Dad's hand was firm on Xavier's chest, keeping him back without a word. Devin walked to the bed and set the daisies on the nightstand, his movements gentle. The room felt tense again, like no one knew what to say next. I heard the door creak, and there he stood, Devin, with my favorite daisies in his hand. My stomach dropped when I saw Xavier's face, pure anger burned in his eyes. Then I saw it, his knuckles, stained with fresh blood. What had he been fighting? I couldn't look away. His quiet presence felt both safe and terrifying right now. Just then, Mom's voice cut through the tension. She had something urgent to say about James. Xavier snapped, demanding to know what Devin was doing here. His voice was ice cold. Devin ignored him, stepping closer to me. He held out the daisies, his hands shaking slightly. When our hands touched, I flinched. His blood was still warm on my skin. Xavier stood up so fast his chair scraped the floor. I thought he'd attack Devin right there. Dad stepped in, holding Xavier back. "Enough," he said, his voice firm. Mom's face was stone cold. "This can wait," she said. "We need to talk about James, now." Devin nodded, taking a step back. His eyes never left mine, like he had something to say. My mind raced. What could James have done now? Was he still after me? Xavier sank back into his chair, anger melting into frustration. He knew this was serious too. The room went dead silent. We all knew whatever Mom had to say would change everything. I could see Mom's hands shake as she clenched them into fists. She was scared. Devin leaned against the wall, his eyes never leaving Mom. He was ready for the worst. The silence stretched on. I could hear my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. Dad looked at me, and I saw it guilt. He'd known something was coming, hadn't he? Mom took a deep breath, and we all leaned in. Whatever she was about to say would shatter our world. I never imagined the truth about my family would shatter me this completely. My mom finally worked up the courage to tell me her hidden secret. She said I was an accident from her cold contract marriage with James. In that single second, every part of my identity felt like it was crumbling. The silence in the room was thick enough to suffocate us all. I wanted to scream, but my throat was tight with shock and grief. Xavier looked ready to punch a hole in the wall from his corner. Then a loud crash from the hallway shattered the heavy silence. Two massive men in black suits stormed into the room first. James followed them, that same cold smirk plastered on his face. He stared right at me, like I was nothing but a prize to claim. "I'm taking my daughter home," he announced, like he owned every part of me. My dad stepped in front of me, ready to fight to protect me. Xavier's fists were clenched so tight his knuckles turned white. He walked closer, his eyes never leaving mine like a predator stalking prey. My mom started crying, helpless to stop the man who ruined our lives. Dad held Xavier back, knowing we couldn't fight them head on and win. His cold hand reached for my arm, firm and unyielding. I flinched back as far as I could, desperate to escape his grasp. A fire ignited in me, refusing to be taken like some trophy to be displayed. The tension in the room was so thick you could cut it with a knife. His expensive watch glinted in the light, a reminder of his power and wealth. I could hear nurses screaming in the hallway, chaos erupting outside. Xavier broke free from Dad, ready to throw himself at James. I knew in that moment I wasn't going down without a fight. They were coming for me, James's men, ready to drag me away from everything safe. My dad didn't hesitate, he stepped in front, shielding me from the threat. Xavier grabbed a chair, ready to fight like my life depended on it. I snapped, grabbed the vase on my nightstand and threw it as hard as I could. The crash brought the nurse running, she yelled for security, her voice cracking with fear. For a second, I thought we might actually make it out of this alive. James just smirked like he knew this wasn't over, like he'd be back for me soon. He backed away slowly, his eyes never leaving me, full of cold promise. I collapsed back on my bed, shaking relieved, but terrified of what would come next. The room went quiet, too quiet, like the calm before another storm. That's when I saw him, Devin, standing outside the window, watching me in silence. He didn't wave, didn't make a sound, just stood there, like he was guarding me too. My chest tightened. What was he doing here? Was he friend or foe? Xavier noticed him too, his jaw tightened, like he wanted to fight Devin as bad as he wanted to fight James. I could see the broken heart tattoo on his knuckles, proof he'd been through just as much as me. In that moment, I realized I was stuck between two worlds, two boys, two lives, all pulling me apart. I didn't know who to trust, who to turn to. All I knew was I couldn't let James win. Security finally arrived too late to stop James, but maybe in time to keep me safe for now. They filed into the room, their boots thudding on the floor, making the air feel a little safer. As the door clicked shut, I knew this was just the beginning. James would be back, and next time, I'd be ready. The diamond necklace James gave me felt like a chain tight, heavy, a reminder of how trapped I was. Xavier looked drained, like he'd fought a war and barely won, even though the fight was just starting. I'm finally leaving this hospital, but a secret's burning in my pocket. My parents pack my things, while Xavier watches me like he's reading my mind. He tosses my bag over, his eyes sharp with unspoken suspicion. I grab it quickly, hoping he doesn't notice the paper in my other pocket. The room feels too small, every second stretching like an eternity. I rummage through my bag, my heart racing for what I know is there. There it is, Devin's note, a risky invitation I can't refuse. Xavier's eyes lock on my hands, he knows I'm hiding something. I stuff the note into my pocket, my fingers shaking with nerves. He steps closer, his voice low and sharp, he wants answers. My face burns as I struggle to come up with a lie. Mom steps in to calm us down, but it only makes Xavier more suspicious. Xavier's jaw tightens, he doesn't buy any of it. My foot taps nervously, giving away how on edge I really am. Dad steps between us, trying to diffuse the tension before it explodes. My bag feels like a ticking time bomb, holding more secrets than I can handle. The room is thick with silence, each of us hiding our own truths. I make a decision, I have to meet Devin, no matter the risk. Xavier sees the resolve in my eyes, and he hates it. I stand up, my bag in hand, ready to face whatever comes next. The note peeks out of my pocket, a constant reminder of what's at stake. Xavier's gaze locks on my pocket, he knows exactly what's there. I clench my jaw, ready to lie my way out of this, if I have to. I waited on that park bench, hands shaking with every passing second. The park felt too loud, too bright, mocking my fraying nerves. I kicked at the dirt, trying to calm the storm in my chest. Then I saw him, Devin, walking slow like he had all the time in the world. My heart skipped a beat when he stopped right in front of me. He sat down quiet, like he was reading my unspoken fears. Then he pulled something from his pocket, something I thought I'd lost forever. It was us at the school dance, smiling like nothing was wrong. I'd forgotten how happy we looked back then. Tears burned my eyes. I didn't think he'd kept it. He handed it back, his fingers brushing mine like he was afraid to break me. I care about you, Emily, he said, my breath caught in my throat. No
I
one
waited
had
on
said
that
that
park
to me in
bench,
so long,
hands shaking
not like
with
that.
every passing.
Then a voice cut through the quiet, angry, familiar, sharp. Xavier, he stood there like he'd been watching us the whole time. His knuckles were white with rage, like he wanted to break something. I stood up fast, putting myself between them before he could lash out. His eyes weren't just angry, they looked broken, like I'd stabbed him in the back. I reached for him, but he flinched like I'd burned him. He turned and walked away, leaving me with a mess I didn't know how to fix. Devin stood close, his hand on my shoulder, but it didn't make the ache go away. I held that photo tight, like it was the only thing keeping me from falling apart. I thought I'd lost her forever until I saw him with Emily. I sprinted across the park, every muscle screaming with rage. Who did he think he was, touching what was mine? Stay away from her, you son of a bitch, she's off limits. Devin stood his ground, not backing down an inch. She's not your property, Xavier. She can make her own choices. The tension snapped, we were throwing fists before I knew it. My fist sliced through the air, but he ducked just in time. He landed a hard right hook, sending my head spinning. We crashed to the ground, rolling in the dirt as Emily screamed for us to stop. That's when the black luxury car skidded to a stop beside us. James stepped out, that sick smile on his face, like he'd been waiting for this. Come with me, Emily. This is getting ridiculous. I froze, torn between stopping the fight and going with the man who claimed to be my father. His grip was like iron as he dragged me toward his car, my eyes locked on Xavier and Devin. He shoved me into the back seat, slamming the door shut before speeding away. We watched the car disappear, helpless fury burning in my chest. I'd get her back no matter what it took. Devin nodded at me, and we both knew what we had to do. We sprinted toward my truck, ready to chase down James and get Emily back. I'm tied up in the back seat, heart hammering against my ribs. James has me, and he's not letting go. Glancing forward, I spot the glint of a gun on the seat beside him. Fear floods my veins. Through the window, I spot Xavier's truck. Devin's in the passenger seat, yelling something I can't hear. James slams on the gas, the engine roaring. We're speeding away faster than I can process. They're right behind us, but James is driving like a maniac with nothing to lose. Tears stream down my face, landing on my tied hands. I don't know if they'll reach me in time. Xavier's face is twisted with rage. He's never looked this angry before, not even at me. Devin's gripping a crowbar so tight his knuckles are white. He's ready to fight to get me back. I try to kick the door, but it's locked. My feet bounce off the metal uselessly. James reaches for the gun, and I freeze. This is it, he's going to hurt them. Xavier's truck speeds up, headlights blazing. They're getting closer, but James won't slow down. I look at them through the window, praying they'll save me. But James holds all the cards right now. We hit a sharp curve, and James swerves the car. Xavier's truck skids, but he keeps control. James smirks in the rearview mirror. He thinks he's winning, that he's trapped me forever. Devin waves his arms, yelling something I can't hear. I think he's begging them to stop, but they won't. I fumble with the knots, my fingers shaking. I can't get them loose, no matter how hard I try. James turns down a dirt road, heading towards an old warehouse. What does he have planned for me there? Xavier's face is set with determination. He's not going to let James take me to that warehouse. The warehouse looms ahead, its doors rusted and broken. I don't want to find out what's inside. I slump back against the seat, tears flowing freely. Is this how it ends for me? Trapped with no way out? James picks up the gun, pointing it at the rearview mirror. I freeze, waiting for the shot that might never come. I was dragged into James's opulent mansion, my heart hammering with raw fear. The marble floors and crystal chandeliers felt like a gilded prison closing in on me. A cold stranger stepped forward, holding a frilly pink dress that made my skin crawl with disgust. My hands clenched so tight, my knuckles whitened, hatred bubbling up at this twisted gift. Slowly pulling back, I realized I was trapped, surrounded by people who saw me as a pawn to control. The frilly lace mocked me, a symbol of how little power I had left to fight back. I wanted to scream, but my throat felt clamped shut by overwhelming dread and helplessness. James looked down at me, his smile cold and calculating, no trace of humanity left. His tailored suit and fancy watch were constant reminders of how powerless I was against him. The woman held out the dress, her gaze unyielding, as if daring me to refuse this cruel demand. I stepped back, my shoes scraping the marble, desperate to escape this suffocating nightmare. I was completely trapped, a small pawn in James's twisted game of control. Then I saw it faint headlights outside, a tiny spark of hope igniting in my chest. It was Xavier's beat-up truck, my first sign that I wasn't truly alone in this. Devin climbed out, crowbar in hand, his knuckles broken heart tattoo glowing faintly in the light. Xavier was right beside him, baseball bat in hand, his jaw tight with unbridled rage. Their sharp gazes were fixed on the mansion, ready to tear it down to get me out. They marched toward the mansion, fearless and determined to break me free from this cage. In that moment, all my fear faded, replaced by a fierce hope that I might actually escape this hell. I pressed my hands to the window, watching them come, tears of relief mixing with my earlier fear. James finally noticed them, his smile dropping into a furious, venomous glare. He snapped orders at the woman, voice sharp, demanding she lock every door and window. The woman scurried to obey, her steps hurried, as if she feared James's anger more than anything. The crystal chandelier swayed, as if trembling from the storm of anger and hope brewing all around us. I ran back to the window, desperate to keep watching them, to make sure this wasn't just a cruel dream. I thought I'd meet my end that day, but Devin and Xavier crashed through the mansion doors to save me. James had a gun pointed right at my chest, his eyes glowing with dark, twisted magic. Xavier swung his baseball bat with all his strength, aiming for James's gun hand. The bat hit hard, sending James's gun flying across the cold marble floor. Devin snatched my hand, yanking me to my feet so we could escape the madman. James roared in fury, pulling a second gun from his waistband to shoot us. We bolted for the exit, our footsteps thundering loudly on the marble floors. A bullet whizzed right past my ear, the sharp sound ringing in my head. We burst outside, the bright afternoon sun blinding us for a split second. Devin shoved me into the truck's back seat, slamming the door shut to keep me safe. Xavier scrambled into the driver's seat, turning the ignition as fast as he could. James fired again from the porch, bullets hitting the truck's metal exterior with a clang. The truck lurched forward, tires screeching on the gravel driveway as we fled. I huddled in the back seat, my body still shaking from the terror of the moment. Xavier glanced in the mirror. James's black luxury car was already chasing us down. A bullet shattered the rear window, shards of glass raining down on my lap. Xavier slammed on the gas, pushing the truck to its maximum speed to outrun him. Devin turned around, shouting that James was gaining on us way too fast. I gripped the door handle tightly, my eyes wide but determined to survive this nightmare. We hit the highway, the wind whipping through the broken window as we ran for our lives. Xavier's hands were white-knuckled on the wheel, his face set with grim determination. Devin pulled out his crowbar, ready to fight back if James cornered us. James's headlights blared in the rearview mirror, getting closer with every second. Xavier swerved into the next lane, trying to lose James in the highway traffic. I spoke up, my voice shaky but steady, urging all of us to keep going until we were safe. I thought we'd outrun James, but Xavier's white-knuckled grip told me we hadn't. The rain blurred the road, and a sick dread settled heavy in my chest. Xavier's grunts cut through the rain. He'd been shot by James, and we were running out of time. I scrambled over the seat, my voice cracking as I begged him to stay awake. Police sirens grew louder, but a new terror flashed in my rearview mirror. Xavier's hand slipped from the wheel, his body going limp against the seat. Devin screamed into the phone, begging the ambulance to hurry. I held his cold hand, tears mixing with the rain streaking the window. Then I saw it in the mirror, James's black luxury car, closing in fast. My blood ran cold. James wasn't done hunting us, not by a long shot. Xavier's voice was a whisper. He shot me, right in the stomach. Devin threw open the door, rain pouring in as he scanned for help. Police lights cut through the rain, but I wasn't sure if they'd get here in time. I pressed my hand to his wound, trying to stop the blood, but it kept seeping through. Devin slammed the door, yelling that we were losing Xavier fast. James's headlights blinded me in the mirror. He was going to finish this. I couldn't lose Xavier, not after everything we'd survived together. Xavier's eyes fluttered closed, and I let out a scream I didn't know I had. The police skidded to a stop, but James's car lingered, watching from the distance. Devin pulled me back as cops pried open our door, their shouts mixing with the rain. A cop leaned in to check Xavier's pulse, and I held my breath waiting for the news. But as I stared out, James's car was still there. This wasn't over, not even close. The cops swarmed our truck. My heart felt like it'd stopped beating. They rushed Xavier to the ambulance. I couldn't move an inch. I collapsed on the curb, sobs racking my whole body. It was all my fault. Devin pointed at James, yelling every terrible thing he'd done. But James just smiled that creepy grin as they closed in on him. Xavier's hand hung limp. I prayed he'd pull through this. The ambulance doors slammed shut. The siren wailed through the rain. I clutched my hoodie, knuckles white with fear and guilt. Devin knelt beside me, offering a crumpled wet tissue. They cuffed him, but his smile never faded. It sent chills down my spine. His eyes locked on mine. "I'll be back," he mouthed silently. They shoved him into the squad car. The door clicked shut tight. Tears fell onto the wet pavement. I felt completely lost. Devin helped me up. My legs felt like jelly beneath me. The sirens faded into the night. We were alone in the rain. He squeezed my hand. "We'll get through this together," he said softly. I stared at Xavier's truck. All the chaos replayed in my head. My reflection in the mirror looked broken. I didn't know what to do next. Devin led me toward the truck. We had to leave this nightmare behind. But I knew this wasn't over. James would keep his promise. Xavier's old keychain dangled on the dash. It felt like a warning. I watched the city blur by. What would happen to us now? Devin gripped the wheel tight. He was just as scared as I was. Every second in that waiting room felt like an eternity, my chest crushed by dread. Devin never let go of my hand, while my parents paced like caged animals. His knuckles went white, like he was fighting harder than I was to hold on. Dad paced so much, I thought he'd wear a hole right through the floor. That closed door held the only thing that mattered right now, Xavier's life. Then the handle turned. My breath caught in my throat, stuck somewhere between hope and terror. A doctor stepped out, his face set in that stern, unreadable way that made my stomach drop. My eyes shot wide, clinging to the smallest flicker of hope in his expression. He said the words I prayed for. "Xavier's going to be okay." I went limp in my seat, while Mom broke down crying. We all exhaled at once, like we'd been holding our breath for hours. But then, his face fell, and my heart dropped right back into my stomach. The relief didn't last long. He held up a file, and I knew the good news came with a heavy, unavoidable catch. The x-ray showed the bullet wasn't just a flesh wound. It was positioned too close to something vital. I squeezed the chair arm till my knuckles burned, dreading what he'd say next. He needed emergency surgery. The bullet was too close to his vital organs to wait. Mom's tears hid her apron, silent proof of how scared we all were, all over again. Dad stepped forward, voice urgent, asking about every risk, every possible outcome. Devin placed a gentle hand on my shoulder, trying to steady me when I felt like falling apart. Then we saw the ore light flicker on. It was time to wait again, but this time, waiting felt like fighting. I clasped my hands, praying harder than I ever had that he'd pull through this too. Devin handed me a cup of water, his own eyes red-rimmed, like he hadn't slept in days. Dad grabbed the doctor's sleeve, one last desperate question on his lips. "How long?" He shook his head, saying we wouldn't know for hours, then vanished back into the corridor. I stared at the floor, empty but resolute. I wouldn't leave, not until I knew he was safe. We settled into a heavy, silent wait, each of us trapped in our own worst fears and quiet hopes. I stood outside the operating room, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it. Devin leaned against the wall, quiet as a shadow, while my parents sat hunched on the bench. Then I heard the click of shoes, someone was coming out. The nurse stopped in front of me, her face softening with good news. She said Xavier was stable. For the first time in hours, I could breathe. I glanced at my parents, they looked like they'd aged 10 years in a day. Even Devin cracked a tiny smile, his first since we got here. I reached for my phone, wanting to tell anyone the good news. But the screen lit up with a text from a number I didn't recognize. The words felt like ice down my spine. "James is out. He's coming for you." My fingers went numb, and the phone slipped from my grasp. Devin was there in a second, catching it before it hit the floor. My dad's face hardened, and he stood up so fast the bench scraped the floor. Mom grabbed his arm, her eyes wide with fear we all felt. In that silence, I could feel everyone's eyes on that cursed message. I thought we were safe. I thought he'd be locked away forever. Devin handed the phone back, his gaze steady. "We'll protect you," he said. The nurse stood there, confused, like she couldn't understand the sudden shift. I squeezed the phone so hard my knuckles turned white. This wasn't over, not even close. I stared at the operating room door, torn between worry for Xavier and terror of what was coming. The exit sign flickered red, like a warning of what was ahead. For a split second, I thought I saw a figure at the end of the hallway, tall, familiar, menacing. The next day, I sat by Xavier's bed, holding his hand, praying he'd wake up soon. Mom and Dad had fallen asleep in the corner, exhausted from the night before. Then I saw it. Xavier's eyelashes fluttered. He was waking up. I leaned in, my heart racing, as his eyes slowly opened to look at me. He gave me a weak smile, and I felt tears of relief roll down my face. But our moment was shattered when a police officer burst through the door, panic on his face. Devin was right behind him, his face hardening as he heard what the officer had to say. He said James had escaped from jail and he was heading straight for the hospital. Devin didn't hesitate. He grabbed a chair from the wall, ready to fight. Xavier tried to sit up, wincing in pain as his bandaged stomach pulled tight. I told him to stay still, but his hands curled into fists he wouldn't back down. Mom and Dad jumped to their feet, fear etched on their faces as the room filled with tension. Then I glanced out the window and saw it, James's black luxury car skidding to a stop. I ran to the window, Devin and Xavier crowding beside me as we stared down at the parking lot. The car door swung open, and my blood ran cold. James was here for me. His expensive shoes hit the asphalt, and I knew we were running out of time. Devin raised the chair, and Xavier forced himself out of the bed, ignoring his pain. I grabbed Xavier's arm, trying to keep him from rushing into danger. The officer drew his gun, heading for the door to stand guard. We all braced ourselves, knowing the fight was about to begin, and James wasn't going to go easy. I thought we were safe until James burst in, gun in hand, eyes burning with dark magic. Xavier, weak from his wound, forced himself up to shield us from danger. Devin grabbed a chair, shoving himself between me and the gun's line of fire. I snatched the bedside lamp, clutching it like a weapon, my hands shaking uncontrollably. James fired the shot, zipped past my ear, slamming into the wall behind me. Devin hurled the chair, hitting James square in the chest and knocking him off balance. James crumpled to the floor, his gun slipping from his grasp as he gasped for air. I stood frozen, heart pounding so hard I thought it would burst out of my chest. Devin moved fast, pinning James down before he could reach for the gun again. Just then, police sirens blared, officers burst in, guns drawn to take control. Officers cuffed James, yanking him to his feet as he thrashed and yelled threats. Xavier, exhausted from the effort, collapsed back onto the bed, his face pale with strain. Mom ran to me, pulling me into a tight hug, her hands shaking with relief and fear. Devin wiped the blood from his knuckles, his face set with grim determination. For a brief moment, the room went quiet like we might finally catch our breath. But as James was dragged out, he locked eyes with me, promising he'd come back for revenge. I clenched my fists, vowing I wouldn't let him hurt anyone I cared about again. Xavier reached for my hand, his touch weak but warm and reassuring. Dad walked in with water bottles, his face lined with worry but quiet relief. We huddled together, knowing this wasn't over, but for now, we were alive, and that was enough. But outside, the sky turned dark, a warning that more danger was coming our way. I thought it was over when the cops led James away at last. Everyone was drained, but finally, we could let our guard down. Xavier was still so weak, lost in a deep sleep. I sat by his side, replaying everything that happened. The room fell quiet, filled only with the beep of machines. I held his cold hand, hoping he'd wake up soon. Devin stood silently against the wall, his expression unreadable. Then, I noticed his lips twitch, like he was talking in his sleep. I leaned in, thinking I was just imagining things. "I love you," he mumbled clearly, and my eyes flew open in shock. He was still asleep, like he'd never said a word at all. My parents had heard it too, their eyes wide with surprise. Devin's expression shifted, but he still didn't say anything. I couldn't process it. Was that real, or just a dream? I squeezed his hand, waiting for him to wake up and explain. His finger twitched slightly, but he didn't wake up. My parents tried to act normal, but the tension was thick. I was torn between hope and fear. What if he didn't mean it? The clock ticked slowly, stretching the silence forever. I sat there for hours, waiting for him to wake up and face me. I froze when Xavier spoke those 3 words. I never saw this coming. My mind went blank. All the chaos, all the lies, it all just stopped. I didn't know what to say. All the feelings I'd been ignoring hit me at once. Then I heard the door creak. Devin was standing there, ready to leave. The air felt thick, like the room was closing in on all 3 of us. I could see the pain in his eyes. I'd hurt him without even trying. He said he'd leave us alone. My heart ached like it was being squeezed. I didn't think. I just moved. I couldn't let him go like that. I ran as fast as I could, my voice catching in my throat. I didn't care who saw. I just needed to stop him. I could almost reach him. Just a few more steps, and I could talk to him. People stared, but I didn't care. Nothing mattered but him right now. Tears blurred my vision. I couldn't lose him too, not after everything. He was almost out the door. I could feel him slipping away. The sunlight blinded me for a second, but I kept running. I finally grabbed him. My hand shook as I held onto his arm. He turned around, and I saw the tears in his eyes. I broke a little more. He said he heard Xavier, that I didn't have to choose, but I already had. I didn't know what to say. I wanted to take it back, to fix it, but I couldn't. He walked away, and I stood there, broken. What had I done? I skidded to a stop and grabbed his arm, desperate to hear what he had to say. The hospital hallway felt endless, every echo amplifying my fear of losing him. He slowly turned, his eyes red-rimmed, like he'd been holding back tears this whole time. I could barely speak, my throat tight with all the words I hadn't said yet. Then he said the one thing I never expected to hear. He heard Xavier's confession. Every single word, right outside the door. My whole body went numb. How long had he been standing there listening? His voice cracked as he said it. He loved me too, had for so long. The hallway went quiet, only the beep of distant monitors breaking the silence. Tears spilled down my face, relief and guilt warring violently in my chest. Then I saw him, Xavier, leaning against the wall like he could barely stand. His usual sharp gaze was gone, replaced by something broken and defeated. He took shaky steps toward us, his voice softer than I'd ever heard it. "I'm sorry, Emily. I was wrong about everything. About him, about us. The three of us stood there, the weight of all our mistakes hanging thick in the air. I looked at Devin, his hand still in mine, and knew I had to make a choice. Xavier clenched his fists like he was bracing for the worst news of his life. Devin squeezed my hand, a fragile flicker of hope in his sad eyes. The overhead light flickered, casting twisted shadows that matched our broken hearts. I stepped forward, my voice steady for the first time all this chaotic day. I was about to say the words that would change all our lives forever. Xavier closed his eyes, like he couldn't bear to hear what I'd choose. Devin's eyes stayed locked on mine, that fragile hope growing brighter. A nurse walked past, giving us a curious glance before hurrying away. The hallway felt like it was holding its breath, waiting for my choice to break the silence. I just stepped out of the hospital, my mind a total mess, not knowing where to go. Then I spotted Devin's car, parked right there by the curb, waiting for me. "Get in," he said softly, but I couldn't move my feet right away. My legs felt like lead as I walked toward him, guilt eating away at my chest. I turned without thinking, and there he was, Xavier, standing in the hospital doorway. His eyes looked so broken, and my heart felt like it was being squeezed tight. I squeezed my hoodie in my fist, not knowing what to do, what to choose. Devin watched me from the car, his face filled with quiet worry, not pushing me to decide. Xavier didn't move either, just stood there, like he was waiting for me to come back. I felt tears pricking my eyes, torn between the two people who cared about me. I turned back to Devin's car, my steps a little more determined, though my heart still ached. Devin got out and opened the door for me, his movements gentle, not saying a word. My hand touched the cold metal of the door handle, and I hesitated one last time. I glanced back one last time, and I saw Xavier reach out, like he wanted to call me back. I slid into the passenger seat, pulling the door shut behind me, cutting off the view of Xavier. Devin didn't say anything, just put his hands on the steering wheel, waiting for me to be ready. I stared out the window, watching Xavier get smaller and smaller, until I couldn't see him. The car started moving, carrying me away from the hospital from Xavier into the unknown. A tear fell onto my jeans, and I wiped at my eyes, feeling more lost than ever. We drove down the quiet road, and I had no idea what was going to happen next, what choice I'd really made. Sitting in Devin's car, I couldn't stop replaying everything in my head. The streets passed by in a blur, but I only noticed the flower shop we drove by. Then I felt his hand brushing against mine on the seat. A jolt shot through me, warm and unexpected, like a quiet shock. I turned to look at him, my heart racing at the warmth in his eyes. His eyes held a soft smile, like he'd been waiting for this too. I leaned in slowly, my breath catching in my nervous throat. Everything else faded away, only him existing in my focus. Our lips met, soft and gentle, like a quiet, long-awaited promise. In that moment, I thought nothing could shatter this fragile peace. Then a sharp, angry voice cut through the quiet, freezing me in place. I spun around, my blood running cold at the sight outside. Xavier stood on the sidewalk, his face twisted with a fury I'd never seen before. His eyes burned with a mix of rage and hurt I couldn't look away from. Devin tensed beside me, clearly sensing the tension boiling outside. My hands clenched the seat so tight my knuckles turned white, mind racing for words. I could hear him yelling my name, his voice raw with broken emotion. People on the street stared, making this already hellish moment worse. I had to face him. I couldn't hide in this car forever. Stepping onto the sidewalk, I knew this conversation would break me. Xavier's hands flexed at his sides, fighting to control his rage. Devin stood behind me, a silent, protective presence I needed. I looked at him, guilt twisting my stomach at his broken expression. The crowd circled us, but all I saw were the two boys in front of me. Xavier opened his mouth, and I braced for whatever he would say next. I thought I'd escaped the chaos, but fate just slammed me right back into it. There he was, begging me to choose him, while Devin sat silently beside me. My hands shook so bad I could barely hold the car door handle. Devin didn't push me. He just sat there, waiting for whatever I decided. The world felt like it was closing in, and I had to make a choice that would break someone's heart. His voice cracked as he begged, "Choose me, Emily. I can't live without you." I looked back and forth between them, my chest aching like it was being torn apart. I could see the hurt in Devin's eyes, even though he tried to hide it. Xavier stepped closer, his hands outstretched like he was afraid I'd disappear. I pushed the car door open, my legs shaking like jelly as I stepped onto the sidewalk. Every step felt like I was walking on broken glass. Devin got out of the car, standing beside me, his presence a quiet support. Xavier grabbed my hand, his palm warm and trembling. Now we were all standing there, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. Tears streamed down my face. How was I supposed to pick between two people I cared about? Devin turned away, like he couldn't bear to watch me make the choice. Xavier's eyes were filled with hope, like he truly believed I'd choose him. I pulled my hand away, my heart breaking into a million pieces. The sun was setting, painting the sky in orange and pink, but I felt nothing but cold. I took a deep breath, knowing what I had to do, even though it hurt. This was the moment that would define the rest of my life, whether I wanted it to or not. I could hear Devin's fists clench, and I knew I was about to break his heart too. Xavier's face crumpled, like I'd just stabbed him in the chest. I turned and walked toward Devin, knowing I'd made the right choice for me. Devin squeezed my hand, and I knew he understood why I'd chosen him. I stood between them, the whole world watching like we were a show. Xavier leaned in, like he already knew my answer would be his. Devin already looked defeated, like he knew he'd lose before I spoke. Strangers stared, whispering like my choice was their own to make. We were the center of a storm, and I was the one holding the lightning. My hands clenched so tight my knuckles burned, like I was holding on to myself. I took a breath, and for the first time, I knew exactly what to say. People pulled out phones, ready to capture every second of my downfall or triumph. Xavier's eyes begged me, like he couldn't bear to hear the wrong answer. Devin looked away, like he was already counting the steps to walk away. And then I said it loud enough for everyone to hear. Gasps rippled through the crowd. No one expected me to choose the person they never saw. Xavier's face crumpled, like I'd just stabbed him straight through the heart. Devin's shoulders relaxed, like he'd been holding his breath for years and finally let go. I turned my back on both of them and started walking. Each step felt like I was breaking chains I didn't know were there. The crowd parted like I was someone they should have been scared of all along. My heart hammered so hard I thought it would burst through my ribs. I looked back once, just to see if they were still there. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew it was exactly where I needed to be. I sat by the lake, clutching Mom's note like it was my last lifeline. The lake was calm, but my heart felt like it was tearing in two. We love you no matter what. Those words felt both warm and like a knife in my chest. I heard footsteps behind me, footsteps I knew all too well. Xavier and Devin, the two boys who'd turned my world upside down. I turned slowly, my throat tight with 1,000 unspoken questions. Xavier didn't have his usual smirk. He looked scared, almost desperate. Devin's fists were clenched, his broken heart tattoo standing out against his knuckles. Xavier took a step forward, like he was afraid I'd break if he moved too fast. My eyes burned. I didn't know if I wanted to yell or collapse into their arms. Devin looked like he wanted to say something, but the words died on his lips. Strangers stared. We must have looked like a broken puzzle no one could fix. A wind gust lifted the note, like Mom was trying to tell me something more. Xavier kept coming, his boots crunching on fallen leaves like a countdown. I tried to speak, but my voice was stuck in my throat. We were 3 people, trapped in a mess no one had asked for. Devin's eyes held so much pain. I wondered if he'd been hurting as long as I had. Xavier reached for me, then pulled back, like he was scared I'd push him away. I traced the words on the note, wishing they could fix everything that was broken. The sun started to set, painting the sky pink. I had no idea what came next. Xavier's fist tightened. I could feel the tension radiating off him. Devin's shoulders shook. He was always so good at hiding how he felt. I thought I'd finally caught a break, feeding ducks by the quiet lake alone. Then I saw them, Xavier with my favorite daisies, Devin holding my tattered favorite novel. He said he wasn't going to pressure me anymore. My breath caught in my throat. Devin echoed him, his broken heart tattoo visible on his knuckles. This felt too good to be true. For the first time in forever, I didn't feel torn between them. I felt seen. I took the daisies, their soft petals brushing my skin. I wanted to believe this was real. The novel's pages were dog-eared, just as I'd left it. Devin had kept it safe for me. Xavier smiled, a soft, unguarded smile I rarely saw. My chest felt warm. Devin nodded, his eyes sincere. No hint of the brooding boy I first met. This was a side I'd never seen. We laughed together, my voice light for the first time in months. This was happiness. I thought I'd found it. Then the rumble of an engine cut through the quiet. I turned, my smile fading fast. I knew that grille, that sleek black finish. This car belonged to James. My blood ran cold. My smile dropped, my throat going dry. James was here. He'd found me. Xavier's smile vanished instantly, his jaw tightening with anger. He stepped in front of me without hesitation. Devin's fist clenched, his broken heart tattoo paling with the force. He stood at my other side, forming a wall. We stood shoulder to shoulder, a united front for once. But I knew James wouldn't be stopped that easy. The window rolled down, and James's cold smile met my gaze. He wasn't here to talk. I stepped back, gripping the daisies so tight my knuckles whitened. This piece was over before it even started. Xavier stepped forward, his glare fixed on James. He was ready to fight, no matter what. Devin's hand landed on my shoulder, a silent support. We were together in this, for better or worse. The car came to a stop, the door creaking open. This was it. The calm was over, the fight was here. James came charging at us, gun raised, my blood ran cold. Xavier and Devin didn't hesitate, they shielded me instantly. The shot rang out. I flinched, waiting for the pain that never came. Xavier dodged at the last second, the bullet whizzing past his head. Devin lunged, tackling James before he could fire again. I heard Devin cry out James had sliced his arm open with a hidden knife. I screamed, trying to run to them, but my legs felt like lead. Devin grabbed a rock and smashed it into James's head. He staggered back. But James wasn't done. He swung his knife again, eyes blazing with rage. Then I saw the lights. Police cars were speeding toward us, sirens blaring. Officers yelled for him to drop the weapon, but he just laughed. The shot fired. James crumpled to the ground, his gun slipping from his hand. His eyes glazed over, and I finally breathed we were alive. But Devin collapsed too, his arm soaked in blood. Xavier rushed to his side. Paramedics swarmed over him, and I collapsed to the ground, shaking. I grabbed his hand, whispering that he'd be okay, though I wasn't sure I believed it. Xavier put a hand on my shoulder. "He's strong," he said, but his voice shook. Officers cuffed James's lifeless body, and I felt a weight lift from my chest. They loaded Devin into the ambulance, and I climbed in beside him, never letting go. As we pulled away, I looked back at Xavier, following behind, and knew this wasn't over. I jolted awake in that sterile hospital room, my head throbbing like it had been split open. The first thing I noticed? I wasn't alone in this cold, white room. Devin lay in the next bed, his arm wrapped tight in bandages, face pale as paper. Xavier sat huddled in the corner, his usual cocky grin nowhere to be seen. My parents hovered by the door, Mom's face ghostly with fear etched on it. Then I saw her standing in the doorway, her eyes an exact match for mine. She didn't move, just stared at me like she'd been waiting forever. A chill ran down my spine. Who was this stranger with my eyes? I opened my mouth to speak, but she beat me to it. "I'm your aunt," she said, her voice soft but firm. My mind went blank. Aunt? I didn't even know I had family beyond my parents. Xavier's head snapped up, his eyes narrowing into suspicious slits at her. Devin's fingers curled tight around his sheets, his body tensing like he was ready to fight. My mom stumbled back, Dad catching her before she fell. She stepped into the room, her footsteps silent on the cold tile floor. Her green eyes locked onto mine, and I saw something I couldn't name. Sorrow? Hope? I squeezed my hands into fists, my heart hammering against my ribs so hard it hurt. Everyone's eyes were on her now, the room so quiet you could hear a pin drop. "I've come to tell you the truth," she said, her voice cutting through the silence like a knife. The truth? What truth could possibly shake my world more than it already was? I noticed her hands were shaking, like even she was scared of what she had to say. Xavier stood up suddenly, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. "Who are you really?" he snarled, his voice dripping with distrust. She didn't flinch, just held his gaze steady. "I'm here to help, not harm." "Xavier, wait," I called, sitting up so fast my head spun. The room tilted around me, and I had to grab the bed rail to stay upright. Devin reached out toward me, his eyes filled with concern. My mom rushed over, helping me lie back down gently. "Your mother has secrets," she said, her eyes fixed on my mom now. Mom's face went white as a sheet, her eyes filling with tears. "I thought James only wanted me, but there's a bigger secret my aunt's about to spill." My mom thought my aunt was dead, but here she is, alive and holding back nothing. "James isn't after just me, he's after the fortune my grandparents left behind." My mom stumbles back, her face pale with shock at the truth. "Everything I thought I knew about my family is starting to crumble. Millions hidden away, left for me, but James wants it all for himself. Why would my own family keep something this big from me? I deserve to know." My mom can't believe it, she thought my aunt was gone forever. "My aunt says she's here to help, but can I really trust her?" Every word she says makes me realize how much danger I'm really in. I clench the sheets, my blood boiling at how James has been manipulating everyone. James has been planning this for years, he knew about the fortune all along. My mom covers her mouth, unable to process that we've been this naive. This seal proves it's real. Everything she's saying isn't a lie. Xavier's here, and he looks just as shocked as I feel about this mess. Xavier's eyes darken, he's ready to fight to keep me and the fortune safe. I look at Xavier, wondering if he can help me sort through this chaos. My aunt tries to comfort me, but I still don't know where her loyalties lie. My mom rushes to Xavier, desperate to learn what he knows about James's plans. The room feels smaller by the second, and I know this is only the beginning of the fight. I won't let James take what's mine. I'll fight for my fortune and my freedom. My aunt and Xavier stare each other down. Trust is still a long way off between them. My aunt just dropped a bombshell. James knew about the inheritance before I was born. He forced my mom to sign a contract marriage, all for my family's money. That crumpled paper? It's the proof of her trapped life. My mom approached, her steps heavy with years of guilt. The room felt so small, full of secrets I never wanted to know. Her trembling hand reached for me, begging for forgiveness. I couldn't look at her, all I saw was lies. I pushed her away, my chest tight with betrayal. Tears streamed down her face, but I felt nothing but coldness. Then Devin stepped forward, his eyes soft with concern. His hand, with that broken heart tattoo, reached for me. He took my hand, and for the first time, I felt a glimmer of comfort. Xavier watched from the door, his face unreadable. I looked at Devin, finally letting myself feel safe for a second. Just then, Dad walked in, his face set with purpose. I could tell he had more to say, more secrets to uncover. He stood by Mom, trying to steady her shattered world. An old photo of us stared back, reminding me of a time before the lies. That photo used to make me happy. Now it just hurt. The room went quiet, and I knew this was only the beginning. I was hiding in the hospital hallway when I overheard something that shattered my world. My mom and aunt were talking about a secret they'd kept from me my whole life. I pressed my ear to the door, heart pounding so hard I thought they'd hear it. I couldn't believe what I was hearing about who I really was, what I could do. Devin found me, didn't say a word, just stayed there, like he knew I needed him. They said I wasn't human, not in the way everyone else was. My grandma was a witch, and I'd inherited her ancient powers. I looked at my hands and they glowed, faint green, an undeniable sign. Devin put his hand on my shoulder, quiet support when I had no words. Then my mom came out, her face full of guilt, ready to tell me everything. They hid it to protect me, to keep me safe from the dangers of being a witch. She held my glowing hands, fear and love tangled in her touch. This power wasn't something to hide, it was part of who I was. Devin didn't look surprised, like he'd known this secret all along. I stared out the window, trying to process my entire life was a lie. But this truth was just the start of something far bigger than I imagined. I wasn't just ordinary Emily anymore. Something inside me was waking up. She showed me a photo of my grandma holding a wand, like from fairy tales. Her power now flowed through me, ready to be used, whether I was ready or not. As I held that photo, I knew my life would never be the same, and I had no clue what came next. I sat by Devin's bed, and something strange started happening to my hands. I didn't know what was happening, but my palms began to glow bright green. Devin jolted awake, his eyes wide with shock at the light from my hands. Xavier turned from the window, his face hardening at the strange sight before him. Mom and Aunt stood frozen in the doorway as the room's lights started to flicker wildly. I could feel power surging through me, like nothing I'd ever experienced before. Devin reached out toward me, his fear mixing with curiosity. Xavier's fists clenched tight, his jaw set in a hard line of distrust. The room's lights flickered faster, casting wild shadows across the walls. Mom's eyes filled with fear, her body tense as she watched the light. Aunt grabbed Mom's arm, keeping her from rushing toward me. The green light grew brighter, making the monitors beside us beep erratically. Devin's shock faded, replaced by a strange kind of wonder in his eyes. Xavier stepped closer, his conflicted gaze fixed on my glowing hands. I could barely control it, the power feeling almost overwhelming. Mom tried to step forward, but Aunt held her back firmly. The flickering lights cast wild, dancing shadows across the cold floor. Devin sat up fully, never taking his eyes off the light from my hands. Slowly, the green light started to dim, my body feeling drained. I didn't know what this meant, but I knew nothing would ever be the same again. I felt at first a cold, strange presence watching me from the walls. It wasn't just my imagination. Something was moving in the shadows. The shadow shifted, taking shape something human, something like me. She stepped out of the darkness, calm as if she'd been waiting all along. "I'm Lila," she said, "and I'm a witch just like you are." I stared, stunned. "A witch? Me?" It explained so much, yet nothing at all. "She'd been watching me," she said, tracking my strange powers from the moment they awoke. "Watching me? How long had this been going on? How much did she know?" But it wasn't just curiosity. James wants my power, all of it, to rule the world. My hands tingled, glowing faintly green. I could feel the power thrumming inside me, waiting. Lila pulled out her own wand, glowing the same green as my hands. "He won't stop until he takes it," she warned. That's when I realized James hadn't been just manipulating me. He'd been hunting me this whole time. The room lights flickered, as if even the air knew the danger closing in around us. I thought back to every strange encounter with James, all the times he'd watched me, tested me. Lila explained where my power came from, an ancient line of witches passed down through my blood. I clenched my fists, the green glow growing brighter. I wouldn't let James take my power, not without a fight. "I can teach you to control it," Lila said, "to fight back, but we have to act fast." Just then, we heard a noise outside the door, footsteps, moving closer. We froze, on high alert. The doorknob jiggled. Someone was trying to get in. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. Lila put a finger to her lips, silencing me. We didn't know who it was, friend or foe. I stood tall, letting the power flow through me. If whoever was outside wanted a fight, I was ready. Lila's wand flared to life, matching my own light. We were ready, whoever stood behind that door. We stood back to back, lights glowing, waiting. Whatever came through that door, we wouldn't be caught off guard again. Lila just dropped a bombshell. James has followers hunting me down, and they're closing fast. One minute we're safe in the hospital, the next we're targets again. Devin didn't hesitate. He grabbed his crowbar, ready to fight. Xavier pushed through his pain, grabbing his baseball bat to protect us. We scrambled to pack, every second counting until they arrived. I stuffed my wand into my bag, its faint green glow a small comfort. The clock struck midnight, our time was up. Lila stood guard at the door, her face tight with tension. Then we heard the doorknob jiggling, heavy hands trying to break in. We froze, all eyes locked on the door, ready for whatever came through. The door burst open with a crash, splintering wood flying everywhere. Burly men in black poured in, guns raised, their faces cold and cruel. I raised my hands, green magic flaring to life, ready to defend us all. Lila joined me, her blue magic swirling around her hands in defense. Magic met gunfire in a standoff, the air thick with tension and power. One well-placed spell sent a gun flying from a man's grip. We had the upper hand, for now. Devin didn't waste a second, charging in with his crowbar to take down an attacker. Xavier swung his bat, knocking a weapon out of another man's reach with a loud crack. We pushed them back, but we knew this was just the first wave. They'd be back, stronger. I stared at the retreating attackers, my body exhausted, but my resolve unbroken. We weren't going down without a fight. My hands blazed with green light, ready to fight back against the men. The men went flying, crashing into the wall like rag dolls. Their faces twisted with fear. They never saw magic coming. Devin and Xavier moved fast, ready to tie them up before they recovered. The room was chaos, but for once, we held the upper hand. Devin tied their wrists tight, his knuckle tattoo glinting in the light. Xavier secured their ankles, his jaw set with quiet anger. They struggled uselessly, trapped and furious at their defeat. The door burst open, police officers stormed in, guns raised and shouts ringing out. They screamed commands, their eyes fixed on us like we were dangerous criminals. We raised our hands, shouting that we weren't the threat here. Their eyes narrowed, they didn't believe a word we said. Then Lila stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. Her hand began to glow with soft blue light magic they couldn't ignore. Their faces went pale, they'd never seen anything like this. "We are witches," she said clearly. "We didn't start this fight." The officers stared at each other, completely thrown off balance. I stood tall, my hands still glowing faintly, ready to back Lila up. Devin and Xavier moved to stand beside me, silent but unshakable. Slowly, they lowered their guns, but their eyes still held doubt. The room hung silent, neither side sure what to do next. Lila lifted her hand higher, the blue light growing brighter to prove our truth. One officer stepped back, his face pale with fear of the unknown. I stepped forward, ready to tell them our whole tangled story. They looked at each other, uncertain, like they didn't know who or what to believe. One second I was safe in the hospital, the next we were running for our lives from the cops. Xavier and Devin had my back, while Mom and Dad struggled to keep up behind us. The sirens blared behind us, every second bringing them closer to catching us. The hospital doors loomed ahead, our only way out to the car waiting outside. Lila's car was our only escape, our ticket to somewhere they couldn't follow us. Lila fired up the engine, the roar drowning out the sirens for a split second. Xavier helped Mom in first, jumping in right behind her without hesitation. Devin and Dad piled in next, and I slammed the door shut behind me. Lila hit the gas hard, the car lurching forward as police cars closed in behind us. I could feel magic bubbling inside me, something I had to use to save us. We wove through city streets, sirens screaming behind us as Lila pushed the car to its limits. The cops were gaining on us fast. I had no choice but to unleash my magic. I held out my hands, letting the green magic burst forward toward the police cars. The magic hit true, sending the police cars skidding into each other in a cloud of smoke. Xavier and Devin let out breaths we didn't know we were holding. We were finally free of them. Mom and Dad squeezed each other's hands, relief washing over their tired faces. We drove toward the outskirts of the city, something mysterious appearing on the horizon. It was a castle-like place. Lila called it our new home, a school for witches like me. But as we got closer, I felt a chill run down my spine. This place wasn't just safe, it was powerful. The gates creaked open slowly, and I knew our journey was just beginning, for better or for worse. Xavier tightened his grip on his bat, never letting his guard down even for a second. Devon's hand hovered over the door handle, ready to protect us if anything went wrong. Mom and Dad looked at each other, fear and hope warring in their eyes. My wand peeked out of my bag, glowing faintly as if it already knew what lay ahead. We drove through the gates, closing off the world we left behind and stepping into something entirely new. I thought we'd found safety, but this castle felt more like a prison. We raced through the night, desperate for a place to hide. But the second I saw that roof figure, my gut twisted with dread. Those stone towers loomed over us, swallowing the moonlight whole. Lila cut the engine, and the silence felt deafening. No welcome signs, no lights, just cold iron and creeping ivy. My friends tensed, ready for whatever waited inside. Then I saw her on the roof, eyes glowing red like smoldering coals. Lila's voice was tight. "That's the headmistress. She doesn't like uninvited guests." She stood perfectly still, watching us like a hawk watches its prey. I gripped my wand, the green warmth spreading through my palms. We had no choice, we had to face her, one way or another. The gravel crunched under our shoes, loud as thunder in the quiet. Her hand lifted slowly, and I felt the air crackle with dark magic. I stepped forward, ready to fight for the safety we'd barely found. For a heartbeat, no one moved, just us, her, and the cold castle walls. Lila whispered something under her breath, a spell to shield us, I hoped. Devon and Xavier stood flanking me, their weapons held tight. The castle seemed to lean in, as if eager to see what would happen next. Then she smiled, a cold, cruel thing, and I knew this was far from over. I thought we were safe at the witch school, until the headmistress attacked. One second we were approaching the gates, the next a fireball screamed toward us. I froze. This wasn't just a warning, it was a death sentence. But something primal woke up in me, my magic flared to protect us all. The green light from my wand clashed with the fireball, pushing it straight back. The fireball hit her square in the chest, she screamed and reeled back. She didn't stay defeated, she leaped off the roof, landing hard on the ground. Her eyes blazed red with rage, she wasn't done with us yet. Xavier and Devon tensed, ready to fight tooth and nail for me. Then the school gates creaked open like they were welcoming us, or trapping us. I stepped forward, confused. Why would the school let us in now? Lila and my real father stayed close, their eyes scanning every shadow. My wand glowed brighter, like it was warning me of something worse. I looked back at Mom, she was terrified, and I hated that I put her here. We walked toward the open gates, not knowing what waited inside. Then a voice echoed in my head, James's voice, cold and cruel. "It's not over," he hissed. "You can't escape me that easily." Anger replaced my fear. I wouldn't let him win, no matter what. Xavier stepped close, steadying me. "We'll finish this together," he said. We stood at the gates, ready to face whatever was inside, and finish what James started. With Lila by my side, we unleashed magic strong enough to take down the headmistress. She crumpled to the ground, her red magic fading away at last. Then the school doors creaked open, like a heavy weight was finally lifting. We stepped inside, the weight of everything finally starting to lift off my shoulders. For a moment, I thought it was all over, that peace was finally within reach. The green glow faded from my hands, like my magic was finally allowed to rest. Devon and Xavier even smiled, like they believed we truly won this time. My parents hugged each other, tears of relief streaming down their tired faces. The chandelier above glinted, like it was celebrating our small victory with us. But just as I let my guard down, a cold, familiar voice echoed in my head. It was James. He was still out there, and he wasn't done with me yet. Lila noticed the change in me instantly, rushing over to ask if I was all right. "This isn't over," he whispered, and my blood ran cold all over again. Devon and Xavier tensed up instantly, ready to fight again at a moment's notice. The peace we'd found shattered in seconds, replaced by cold, sharp tension. I walked to the window, scanning the grounds for any sign of him, any sign at all. The wind rustled the trees, but no sign of James anywhere. Was he only in my head? Lila put a hand on my shoulder, trying to calm me down, to make me feel safe again. But I knew then no matter what came next, I wouldn't face it alone. We were together, and whatever James had planned, we'd be ready to face it head on. I woke up in a strange room, sunlight streaming over my face. This wasn't my bedroom. Devon was right beside me, his warm hand holding mine. He looked so relieved. And there was Xavier, standing by the window. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Then Lila walked in, holding an old book. I could tell she had news. For a moment, no one spoke. The air felt heavy with unsaid things. She told me the headmistress had agreed to teach me to control my powers. I sat up straight, my heart racing. This was what I'd been waiting for. Xavier's fist clenched tighter. I could see he wasn't happy about this. Devon helped me adjust my pillows, giving me a reassuring smile. Lila set the book on my nightstand. It was a guide to witchcraft basics. The cover read, "Witchcraft for Beginners." My powers finally had a manual. I reached for it, my hands trembling a little. This was my chance to be strong. Lila promised to help me practice every day, starting that afternoon. Just then, a knock sounded at the door. A student's shadow stretched across the floor. Lila opened the door, and a nervous-looking student stood there. She said someone was here to see me, someone I never expected. My stomach dropped. Who could it be? James? Someone else? Xavier stood up immediately, his guard fully up. He was ready to fight. Devon moved closer to me, positioning himself like a shield. We all stared at the door, waiting. Whatever was coming, I knew it would change everything. My hands tightened around the sheets. I was scared, but also ready for whatever came next. Lila whispered something to her, and the student nodded quickly, then left. When she turned back to us, her face was serious. This wasn't good news. She walked back to the center of the room, and I held my breath. She took a deep breath, and I knew whatever she said would change my life forever. The man standing before me. He said he's my real father. He said James, the man I thought was my dad, is his identical twin. Mom looked like she'd seen a ghost. She thought he was dead. He said James had been pretending to be him my entire life. Just when I thought it couldn't get worse, the headmistress stepped in. She had bad news. James's followers were still hunting me. Devin and Xavier tensed up, ready to fight to protect me. My hands clenched into fists. How much more could my life fall apart? My real father tried to comfort Mom, who still couldn't believe he was alive. The headmistress said James's followers weren't alone. They had backup. She warned us James was planning something bigger, something darker. Xavier grabbed his baseball bat. He wasn't going to let anyone hurt me again. Devin's fists clenched. His broken heart tattoo stood out against his knuckles. I stepped toward him, so many questions swirling in my mind. Our safe haven didn't feel safe anymore. Danger was closing in fast. I wasn't going to run anymore this time. I was going to fight back. My real father held our hands, promising we'd get through this together. The headmistress readied her wand. She was ready to protect us. Devin and Xavier checked the entrance, making sure we weren't surrounded. We were ready for whatever was coming. No more secrets, no more lies. I thought we were safe, but James's followers are planning another attack. Headmistress pointed to the map. They're gathering at an old downtown warehouse. They're building their forces there, preparing for something terrible. Devin grabbed his knife, his eyes sharp with determination. We all grabbed our weapons. My wand hummed with green magic, ready to fight. My wand buzzed with power this time. We wouldn't let them win. Xavier gripped his sword tight. He wanted to finish what started with James. Lila flipped open her spellbook, ready to cast defensive magic. My real father stood with us, his wand ready to protect me this time. We huddled around the map, planning our attack to stop them once and for all. Headmistress warned us to be careful. They weren't just regular followers. I raised my wand, feeling the green magic surge through me, ready to fight. Devin checked his knife, making sure it was sharp enough for the fight ahead. Xavier swung his sword, eager to face the followers who hurt us. Mom and my aunt watched from the door, scared but trusting us to win. We got ready to leave, our weapons in hand, ready to stop them. But before we could leave, we heard a loud crash. They were here. The door was open, splinters flying. James's followers had found us. They charged in, weapons raised, ready to fight us right there in the room. We stood together, ready to fight this time. We wouldn't back down. We were surrounded, but I wasn't going to let James win, not this time. Devin and Xavier fought off the followers, while Lila and I prepared to strike back. James cackled, hurling a searing red spell straight for my heart. I froze until a familiar figure slammed into me, shoving me out of harm's way. The spell hit him instead. I screamed, my magic boiling over with rage. I could feel the magic surging through me, pure unbridled anger. Lila joined her magic with mine, making our power twice as strong. We unleashed the combined spell directly at James. The impact sent him flying across the room, crashing into the wall. Devin and Xavier finished off the last of the followers, who scattered in fear. James groaned, his dark magic fading as he struggled to get up. Lila ran to my dad, already preparing a healing spell. Her hands glowed with soft green light as she began to heal him. I stared at my dad, my anger fading to fear. Would he be okay? The fight was over, but we were all broken physically and emotionally. Devin and Xavier shared a nod. We'd survived, but we knew James wouldn't stay gone. Then my dad's fingers twitched. He was waking up. I threw myself into his arms, sobbing with relief. He was alive. But then the headmistress appeared, her face grave. This wasn't over. James will be back, she said. And next time, he'll be stronger. We all stared at her, knowing she was right. The real fight was just beginning. I sat by my real father's bed, holding his bandaged hand as he healed. Devin, Xavier, Lila, and the headmistress stood guard, all of us on edge. The headmistress spoke, her voice tight. James was hiding in an old cabin in the woods. I turned to my father, hope flickering in my eyes. Could he help us? To my shock, my father sat up. He knew exactly where that cabin was. Devin and Xavier exchanged looks. They were ready to move out immediately. Lila gripped her wand, its faint green glow a reminder of the magic we'd need. The door creaked open, and the weight of what we had to do hit me all at once. I squared my shoulders this time. We wouldn't let James get away. My father pointed to a map, marking the cabin hidden deep in the forest. That cabin, James had been using it since he took me as a baby. Devin grabbed his crowbar, Xavier his baseball bat. We were ready for a fight. The headmistress's red eyes blazed. She wanted James gone as badly as we did. Lila stayed close behind me, her wand ready for any danger we might face. We left the hospital room together, a quiet determination in all of us. My father walked steadily. Even with his injury, he wouldn't let us face this alone. The elevator doors slid open, and we stepped inside, heading toward the woods. I pressed the button for the first floor, my hand steady despite my racing heart. The elevator lights flickered, adding to the tense silence between us. When the doors opened, we stepped into the parking lot, ready to face whatever waited in the woods. I gripped my wand so tight my knuckles burn. The forest outside feels like a trap waiting to snap shut. Our small car cuts through the dense woods. Every one of us is armed, every muscle tense. My father speaks from the front seat. His voice is cold with hard truth about James. Devin's hand rests on his knife. He's ready to fight the second danger shows itself. Through the trees, I spotted the cabin where James hides, practicing dark magic. My wand glows brighter, warning me. James's dark magic is already in the air around us. No one speaks now. The only sounds are the engine and our ragged, nervous breathing. Xavier's jaw is set tight. He's ready to finish what James started between us. Lila presses the brake. The car slows, creeping toward the cabin's shadowed yard. We stop outside. Red light seeps through the cabin's windows. James is waiting for us. I take a deep breath. Whatever happens here, I will not let James win this time. Devin and Xavier push their doors open first. They're the first line of defense against James. My father grabs his own wand. He's here to end James's dark magic once and for all. Lila follows close behind. Her magic hums in the air, ready to clash with James's. We stand together, facing the cabin. The air thickens with the smell of dark magic and danger. The cabin door creaks open. James stands in the shadows, his eyes glowing red with power. He steps outside, dark magic swirling around him. He thinks he's unstoppable. Devin grips his crowbar tighter. He's ready to charge, no hesitation in his stance. Xavier's hand wraps around his bat. He's not going to let James hurt anyone else. I raise my wand, green light bursting from it. This is the final fight, and we will win. Lila and my father stand together, ready to unleash their combined magic against James. Magic sparks in the air between us. The final battle for the woods and my fate has begun. I thought we'd finally end this, but James had something far darker planned. As we stepped closer, the air grew thick with the stench of dark magic. James appeared, his eyes glowing red like he'd made a deal with the devil. We followed him inside, the darkness swallowing us whole. That's when I saw it, the dark altar where he'd been practicing his twisted rituals. I'm immortal now, he sneered. You can't kill what's already dead. I laughed, gripping my wand tighter. Love is stronger than any dark magic. My wand erupted with bright green light, pushing back the darkness like it was nothing. For the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. He knew he was beaten. A scream tore from his throat as the magic burned through him. He collapsed to the ground, his red glow fading to nothing. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. It was over, or so I thought. Just then, we heard sirens. The police had found us. They cuffed James, who could barely move from the magic's effect. Devin gave me a small smile, and I knew we'd made it through together. As we walked outside, the sun broke through the trees, like it was celebrating our victory. My real father put a hand on my shoulder. I'm so proud of you, he said. Xavier even nodded at me, like he'd finally let go of his anger. For the first time in forever, I felt truly safe, like nothing could hurt me again. But as I looked at my wand, I wondered, was this really the end of the darkness? As we drove away, I knew whatever came next, we'd face it together. We won! The whole school's celebrating our victory over James. After all that chaos, it feels surreal to be surrounded by cheers instead of screams. Devin's beside me, quiet as always, and Xavier's actually smiling for once. Then my parents and my real father come over, their eyes full of relief. Even Lila and the headmistress are raising their glasses, putting aside their differences. They wrap me in a hug, and for a second, I forget all the pain we've been through. Devin gives me a small nod, and Xavier claps, like he's finally accepting this new normal. Fireworks explode in the sky, painting the night pink and orange, like a fresh start. Devin takes my hand gently, and I don't pull away for the first time. It feels right. But just when I think everything's okay, a cold voice echoes in my head. It whispers, "I'll be back," sending a chill down my spine. Devin squeezes my hand, noticing something's wrong, but I can't speak. Xavier steps closer, his smile fading, like he can sense the darkness returning. Everyone else is still celebrating, completely unaware of the threat hanging over us. Did James somehow survive? Or is this someone new, even more dangerous? My real father looks at me, his eyes full of worry, like he knows what I'm feeling. Lila stops laughing, her gaze locking on mine. She must have felt the magic shift too. The celebration feels hollow now, like we're just waiting for the next storm to hit. I clutched the Best Witch trophy tighter, wondering if this victory was even real. Whoever's coming back, I won't let them take this piece from us. Not again. I thought I was safe at the witch school, but my wand had other plans. Devin slept beside me, Xavier on the couch. We let our guards down completely. Then my wand flared bright green, casting an eerie glow across my face. I followed the light to the door slowly. It began to creak open. A shadow loomed outside, and my blood ran cold. I knew this wasn't over. The shadow's hand curled around the doorframe. Its grip was cold, unyielding. Devin jolted awake, Xavier too. We grabbed our weapons, ready to fight. It was James's twin brother, my uncle, his eyes glowing red with dark magic. He stepped into the room, and the air thickened with dark magic, pushing us back. I'm here to finish what James started, he snarled. The world will fall to dark magic. He raised his hand, sending a blast of dark red magic straight at us. Devin and Xavier were thrown into the wall. I barely blocked the blast with my wand. He moved faster than I could react, grabbing my arm tight. I couldn't break free. Then Lila burst in, casting spells to free me, but her magic bounced off his defenses. He shoved Lila aside, dragging me toward the door as my friends tried to get up. I looked back at them, tears in my eyes, helpless as he pulled me outside. The hallway was lined with his followers, silent and menacing as we walked past. Your powers will be mine, he hissed. I'll become the most powerful witch of all. But as he spoke, I felt my magic surging. Maybe I could fight back. He dragged me toward the dark exit, but I was already planning my escape. This wasn't over. My uncle's red eyes blazed with dark magic. No one could stop him now. A red spell burst from his hands, sending shockwaves through the room. I watched as Devin was thrown back, his body slamming into the wall. Xavier didn't stand a chance either. He crumpled to the floor. Both Devin and Xavier lay motionless. The room felt like a tomb. Then Lila burst in, her voice frantic, screaming for me to run. She tried to reach me, but my uncle turned on her in an instant. Another red spell shot toward her. She'd barely dodged in time. My wand glowed green. I tried to summon all my power to fight back. But he was too fast, his iron grip clamped around my arm. I screamed, fear coursing through me as he dragged me away. Lila tried to stop him, but he threw her aside like she was nothing. I looked back at Devin and Xavier, still motionless on the floor. Lila watched helplessly from the floor, tears streaming down her face. Then I saw it. Devin's finger twitched. He wasn't completely out. Xavier's eyes fluttered open too. They were going to come for me. Lila pushed herself up, her face set with determination. They were going to save me. I just knew it, no matter what. As I was dragged away, a tiny spark of hope flickered in my chest. But my uncle's evil smile told me this was far from over. The dark corridors seemed to stretch on forever, every step filled with dread. My shoes scraped against the cold floor. I felt so helpless. Behind me, I could hear their footsteps. They were close, so close. We reached an old warehouse. He pulled me inside, the door slamming shut behind us. In the center of the room was a dark altar. My blood ran cold at the sight. 1 minute ago, I was tied to this chair, sure I'd be Uncle's dark magic sacrifice. He thought he could steal my powers, turn me into his source of dark magic forever. His voice echoed through the warehouse, full of hatred for everyone who'd ever opposed him. But I wasn't alone. Devin and Xavier had snuck in through the broken window, ready to fight. And just in time, Lila and my real dad burst through the door, wands glowing. My powers exploded green light so bright it made the followers cover their eyes, ropes snapping around my wrists. I stood up, wand in hand, ready to end this once and for all. Uncle's smile dropped. He never thought I could break free, let alone fight back. I launched a blast of green magic straight at him, no holding back this time. The blast hit him square in the chest, sending him flying into the stone wall behind him. Devin and Xavier took down the remaining followers, their fists flying fast. Lila and my dad used their magic to block the door, keeping no one from escaping. For 1 second, it felt like we'd won. All the followers were down. Uncle was unconscious on the floor. But then his fingers twitched, and his eyes snapped open redder than ever. He stood up, dark red magic swirling around him, and laughed like he'd just won. Before we could attack, he vanished in a cloud of black smoke, yelling that this wasn't over. We stood there, breathless, knowing he'd be back stronger, angrier, and ready to finish what he started. I held my wand tighter, ready for whatever comes next this time. We'll be prepared. The warehouse door creaked open, sunlight pouring in, showing just how close we'd come to losing everything. But we'd survived, and next time, when he comes back, we'll be the ones waiting for him. We made it back to the witch school's meeting room, but this was no casual chat. Every face around the table held the same grim determination. The headmistress pointed at the map, her voice tight with urgency. My uncle was hiding in an old castle in the mountains. He wasn't just laying low, he was gathering dozens of loyal followers. Dozens of them, drawn to his dark promises of power. I pulled out my wand, its green glow humming with ancient power. When I focused, it showed me a vision of what he truly planned. He wanted to wrap the entire world in unending, suffocating darkness. No sunlight, no hope, just his twisted, endless rule over everything. A cold dread settled over me, but I swore I wouldn't let that happen. Devin grabbed his crowbar, his knuckles white with unshakable resolve. Xavier hefted his baseball bat, ready to fight despite his lingering injuries. My real father gripped his own wand, his green eyes blazing with righteous fury. Lila flipped open her spellbook, already muttering powerful protection charms. Mom packed supplies into a bag, her hands steady despite her quiet fear. We all looked at each other, and I knew we were in this fight together. No more running, no more waiting, we would attack at first light of dawn. That night, the school felt charged with quiet, focused energy. We checked our weapons, reviewed our plans, and steeled ourselves for the fight ahead. I could feel my wand thrumming, already attuned to the dark magic we'd face. This wasn't just about stopping my uncle, it was about saving everything we loved. Lila tucked her spellbook away, ready to unleash her magic when the time came. Mom pressed a lucky charm into my hand, her eyes glistening with unspoken love. As the first light of dawn touched the horizon, we gathered at the school gates, ready to fight.